Hello, everybody. Today I'm just going to provide you with an overview of how vet funding works in Australia and how training is provided by state and territory governments. So, government funding of vet is a collaborative effort by the Commonwealth and state and territory governments, and they do have a national agreement in place where they negotiate how they're going to carry out those arrangements. This diagram here that I've provided gives you an overview of how the funding flows within the actual system in Australia. And as you can see at the top there, you've got the Australian government and the state and territory governments working together in partnership. On the left-hand side, particularly in that middle green box there, you can see this specific vet funding programs. And if you look over on the right-hand side here in the blue box that identifies registered training organisations, the funding flows to these organisations and they deliver the training programs. There's also other ways that vet is delivered in Australia, and as you can see in this blue box down the bottom here, there are other revenue streams that do provide funding, but predominantly it's government funded. So funding arrangements work in the way that state and territory governments allocate funding through their budgets and they administer the funding arrangements. They work out what training they're going to invest in based on the needs of their economies, what advice they've received from industry directly, and they are usually peak bodies and or employer groups. They've identified skill shortages in their particular states or territories and priority occupations in their jurisdictions. So they work out what particular qualifications or skill sets they're going to fund based on those needs. They then approve registered training organisations such as Envirotech Education to provide those training courses under the arrangements, and they form agreements with the RTOs, and then they're able to deliver those training courses in their particular locations or footprints. One of the main funding programs that are offered by all states and territories is related to student training entitlement. All states and territories have implemented this entitlement since 2015, which was based on a national agreement, and it provides all working age Australians with access to government subsidised courses with the intent that they're able to obtain at least a Certificate 3 level qualification with a training provider of their choice. And each state and territory is also able to go beyond that minimum entitlement. So, for example, if I use Queensland as the scenario, they also fund Certificate 4 level qualifications, and they also provide subsidised places for certain Certificate 2 level qualifications, specifically for vet in schools programs. I've identified those three qualifications in marine conservation and sustainability as they are suitable to be delivered under the student training entitlement in each state. That just gives you an idea of what could be provided under these particular funding arrangements in the specific states or territories. Now, each state and territory has their own model, the way that they've implemented the entitlement model, and each funding program is called something different. So they're listed there, as you can see. In New South Wales, they have the Smart and Skilled program. Victoria has Skills First. Queensland has Certificate 3 Guarantee. South Australia has Work Ready. Western Australia has Jobs and Skills WA. In Tasmania, courses are embedded in all of their subsidised training programs. And while the Northern Territory no longer has the entitlement program as such, they do have other funding programs for specific target groups where these marine conservation and sustainability qualifications could be offered. And we nearly forgot the ACT, they have skilled capital. Now, in saying that, delivery of those qualifications are not limited to this particular entitlement model approach in each state and territory, because they all have additional initiatives, but you just have to be able to identify which one is available for the particular training course. And more often than not, it's required that industry support the delivery of the qualifications and that they are behind the application or the business case to have them funded. So apprenticeships and traineeships are funded as well by each state and territory. And the user choice program has been around since 1998, and it is a national funding policy. But each state and territory again have implemented their own arrangements for the delivery of training to apprentices and trainees. The funding seeks to reduce the cost of the training for employers. So when employers have to release their apprentices or trainees for their off-the-job training, and in some instances they can be trained on the job, this funding supports the registered training organisation to be able to deliver the training and assessment. The amount of funding available does differ in each state and territory. It just depends on how they've prioritised it, and particularly in regional and remote locations, the particular state or territory can apply loadings to those locations where there's a higher rate of funding subsidy available to the RTO to be able to deliver to apprentices and trainees in those particular locations, just because of the geographical challenges. I have identified that the Certificate 3 in Marine Habitat Conservation and Restoration is very much a suitable training product to be offered as a traineeship qualification. There is a process required in each state and territory to have particular qualifications declared as apprenticeships or traineeships in that particular state before it can be offered under that particular funding. Lastly, the Commonwealth Government has the Vet Student Loan Scheme. And this current arrangement replaced the previous Vet Fee Help Scheme, which ended in 2016. So VSL, as we refer to, commenced in 2017. It provides an income contingent loan to students who are eligible. They have to meet specific criteria, and it enables them to study diploma level and above vet qualifications. There is a loan cap, so they are able to borrow up to a certain amount depending on the particular qualification. And I have also identified there qualifications such as the Diploma of Sustainable Operations are approved as vet student loan courses, and they are available currently. Envirotech Education happens to be one of the RTOs who's able to offer that particular diploma. So where to from here? Industry, employers, if you are interested in being able to access either graduates of those particular qualifications mentioned, or you want to train or upskill your existing workforce, it's a matter of following the process that each state or territory has in relation to identifying these qualifications as being suitable to be funded, because they are priorities, and we can help facilitate that process. So please provide your expression of interest and let us know if you're willing to find out more information about how you can support the applications or the submissions to have these marine conservation and sustainability qualifications available as government funded training places. Thank you.